Hey everyone, welcome back to my channel. Welcome to a brand new video where I'm going to be reflecting on the 10 things that Googlers taught me whilst I was at Google. So Googlers being Google employees, that's what we call them internally. But yeah, I'm going to be spilling the tea on what I really learnt from speaking to the people themselves. And a huge part of my apprenticeship experience was being able to network with some of the smartest people I've ever met and the nicest people. They completely made my apprenticeship experience, and I'd do it all over again just for the people, to be honest. Looking back, it's probably been the biggest takeaway and the biggest benefit of doing an apprenticeship for me. So yeah, I'm going to be sharing the 10 things that they taught me just because I think it'd be useful to other young people and it'll be nice for me to reflect on too in the future. So yeah, I've managed to narrow it down to 10 things, and I actually found an old spreadsheet organised me when I started my apprenticeship. I found a spreadsheet where I started noting down everyone that I was talking to and kind of a few bullet points and takeaways from those conversations, and it really helped me structure this video. So I definitely recommend doing that if you have a bad memory like me as well. It kind of stimulated some thoughts and reminded me of certain things that people had told me that I'd forgotten about. So yeah, let's get into the 10 things. The first one is make yourself useful by finding gaps to fill. So a lot of the time you come into a new company, especially when you don't know what your strengths are and your weaknesses are and where your skills probably lie best, like me. It was really hard for me to think where I should best place myself, especially because the apprenticeship role was so flexible. Although I had my day-to-day responsibilities, I also had the opportunity to get a feel for different projects and different teams and yeah, really find what I was good at. But it's obviously hard to do when you're not really sure what you're good at. So a really great place to start is to sit back, observe and see where the gaps are, see where the company's growing or the team's growing and what people have put in the most effort into. Are there any boring admin jobs that people don't want to do? Because admin goes a long way. Although sometimes you probably feel like you're being used, I think at the start of a role when you're quite new, people appreciate it, and yeah, people will remember you for that. So any boring jobs that people want to do, pick those up and they'll most likely give you more interesting jobs after that. And also off the back of that, I was always told find something you're good at and become known for it. So just do that thing really, really well across loads of different things with loads of different people, and that's really how to kind of get yourself known and people to be aware of who you are and what work you do. Number 2 is that it's okay to say no, even when you're an apprentice. So I still have a bad habit of just saying yes to everything because I want to gain the experience and kind of learn so many different things, but sometimes it's just not possible. And the apprenticeship really taught me how to prioritise my tasks and really make sure I knew what was important and what I would benefit most from and kind of why something's worth doing. So is it worth doing because you're going to gain loads of skills from it? Is it worth doing because it's something brand new that you've never done before? Sorry, that's my laptop. Is it worth doing because that person will really appreciate it and you'll build a greater relationship with them? Maybe something not so selfish. So yeah, it's really interesting to just think about all the times that I've said yes when I probably could have said no, even though it has taught me so much looking back now. Number 3, and I really like this one, is know who you're speaking to. So because I was in a sales team, we did so many trainings of kind of how to persuade people to buy things and how to frame certain products and know who's in the room, who's the decision maker, who has the most power within the team, and really kind of figuring that out by people's behaviour. I think being able to observe people's behaviour and knowing how to adapt the way you speak to them or the way you deliver certain information is so key and will stand you in good stead in the professional environment in any role. Being able to deliver news to someone in an appropriate and sensitive way, being able to sell something that might create tension in the room but knowing how to execute it well. It's all just so important, and there's a lot of psychology behind it and there's a lot of books I've read. So let me show you actually. So I was actually lucky enough to do a whole training of this book, but I think if you can get your hands on it and read it anyway, it'll be worth it. But we did a training called the Challenger Sales, and yeah, there was just some really cool theories in it. A lot of them are kind of just what I've heard before but framed differently, but really makes you think about the way you sell things, I guess, and I know I'm talking about sales, but I feel like it applies to a lot of different business functions and just day-to-day life as well. Number 5 is that questions are a good thing. Full stop. Like, obviously you have more valuable questions and more insightful questions that are a bit more impressive than just your questions that you fling about and don't really think about before speaking. Either way, questions show intent and show interest, and people love it when you ask questions. When you're networking and having conversations with someone, people love talking about themselves, so just ask them questions. If you're in a room or a meeting where you're quite new or you don't really know what people are talking about, don't pretend like you do. Just ask questions, and people will most likely be fine with it and just appreciate that you want to know what everyone's talking about. So number 6 is kind of more towards people that are my age, maybe coming out of school, but experience over money when you're younger. Always prioritise experience. Although money is obviously very attractive and you want to feel valued, and you shouldn't undervalue yourself by getting paid less than you should be, but experience is way more valuable whilst you're still building your career and still trying to figure out what you want to do. So a lot of advice I had for my current job search and job hunt, look at roles that you really think you're going to learn the most from rather than who's just going to pay you the most, because there's way more factors than salary, like company culture, the people that will manage you, the work you'll be doing. So yeah, it's kind of something that obviously you'll always be gaining experience, and there's not a point where that's it, you've learned everything. Now is the time where you can make those mistakes and figure out whilst you're young what you want to do. I guess look more longer term than short term rewards. Number 7 is kind of simple, but just know what's going on in your industry. Yeah, it's actually kind of bad how little I've read the news. Like, I really have to force myself to do it, and it shouldn't be like that. But read the news on your industry, on your company, what's going on. Set Google alerts. That was a good way that I kept up. So I worked with a lot of telephone, broadband and studio clients when I was at Google, and I set Google alerts on all their brand names just so that they'd come up like every other week, so I could kind of keep on top of what was going on in their business. So that's a good way to do it, but you'll just have more meaningful conversations this way, and you'll feel a lot more confident when you speak about things. Number 8 is a big one that I've had to practice throughout my whole apprenticeship, and it is share your work and own it, especially whilst we're working from home or virtually. People don't know what's going on, so if you have any opportunity, like in a team meeting, step up and share your work and be proud of it. You know, if you share a bit of creative work that you might do outside of work, it could open up so many opportunities if someone else is interested in that, or if someone else kind of works in that field. You never know what you can gain from sharing something. So I think it's really hard to talk about yourself and your own work as well, and I think just generally as a British culture, we're very polite and modest and, you know, quite humble, don't like to talk about our achievements. But, you know, in the workplace, especially whilst we're young, we've kind of got to, you know, show our worth. Second to last, number 9, we have constantly reflect on what you like, what you're good at and what you want to develop. The apprenticeship scheme was amazing for this because we had regular check-ins with mentors, managers and coaches from the education side, where they'd always check in, like, okay, what have you been, you know, since I last saw you, what have you achieved? What have you developed? What are you good at? What do you want to achieve the next time I would have seen you? And I think without those prompts, I wouldn't have been as trained to think like that, but now I've been kind of used to doing that every other month. I'll probably continue to do it, and it's a really, really good habit to build because it just keeps you in line with your goals, your values, and making sure that you're doing things for you. And finally, it's quite a nice note to end on. Be nice to everyone. It doesn't cost you anything, and I know you're probably sick of your mum saying that manners don't cost you anything, but people appreciate nice people, even if it's just walking in the office and saying hi. Sometimes you're so autopilot mode where you just don't say hi to people, or you're kind of used to just walking in the office with your earphones in. But especially I think as technology evolves and the more virtual we live, people appreciate you reaching out to them, people appreciate you checking in and just saying hi and just being nice. And whether that's doing favours for people that kind of put you a bit out, or you don't really have, you know, enough spare time to do it, I think it all comes back to good karma, and if you're a good person, good things will come to you. So yeah, that was just a big thing I've learned from Google, because everyone is just so nice, And even if people kind of have their own agendas and their own schedules going on, everyone still was so welcoming. I always felt comfortable in the team, and when we switched to being virtual, I still felt that way. People would still reach out to me, and I still spoke to people that I didn't necessarily work with every day. So yeah, I will always bring that into whatever company I go in. Even if the culture is slightly different, I want to be that person that everyone feels comfortable to speak to. Yeah, that is my 10 things to round up nicely of my whole experience at Google, and I've learned so much more than that. I could probably give you 100 things, but I wanted to keep it quite concise. And it's interesting that all this advice that I'm sharing with you guys is from industry experts, people that have been working in the professional world for years and years, like 10 years or more. It's been an amazing experience to be surrounded by these people every single day, and they've been amazing role models to me, and I can't wait to put into practice what I've learned in my new job. So yeah, I hope you've enjoyed this video, and I hope that you could take some things away from it. Comment down below if I said anything that you've never really thought about before. I'd love to hear if you learned anything new from this video. Subscribe so you don't miss my next video, and give this video a like if you did enjoy it.